Hello there, this is Dr. TJ Ammons. I'm the owner of Champion Adjusters and also the author of How to Get Started, Get Work, and Make Money as an Insurance Adjuster, which is also available on my website. I'm also on Facebook. You can check us out, facebook.com/Champion Adjusters. Today I wanted to talk about once you get deployed, like what do you do? The first day you find out you're getting deployed, you're getting claims, like what is the process? What is the best approach to starting off your deployment successfully? First thing, you want to make sure you have all the tools of the trade. I'm not going to enumerate all of the tools now, but you want to make sure you have your ladder depending on what type of claims you're doing, your measuring tape, laptop of course to run Xactimate or Symbility. You're going to want to have a folder. Make sure you have what I use is a throwaway phone, and I just use that just to basically where people call my personal number, so I know when I'm getting a call it's directly for work, so I can make sure that I answer it timely and stuff like that. I'm in a right mindset to do that. And then just, other basic equipment that you may need. Your cougar paws is going to be the shoes that you use to walk on the roof. You make sure you have your good pads, all ready to go. And then I usually have a like a safety belt where I can put like a clipboard, different tools in, so when I'm climbing a ladder I don't have to carry a backpack or anything like that. I just have everything around my waist. I can just grab it out, use my chalk, my pitch gauge, that's something else you'll need, just different things like that, and tie-offs for your ladder, everything that you're going to need in the scope of your job as far as inspecting a home. Main thing is, to realize like, hey, you've been deployed. They say, hey, can you show up at this place? You want to ask, hey, have my claims already come in? You want to check your Xactimate. The reason why is sometimes your claims may pop in like maybe later that evening or like a day before you're supposed to be there, but you have to realize like once you get your claims in Xactimate, your insurers may have had your information maybe earlier that day, and maybe they've been waiting for a week possibly for somebody to call them. And so when you call them, even though you're like, hey, I'm calling as soon as I receive this claim, they already have been waiting a week for somebody to call them, and they feel like, hey, this person is not on top of it. So what I do is I create a folder. I print out all my first notices of loss, and I have like different sections. I have like completed, I'll have inspected, I have before inspection, and then I have like a section that like, hey, like I'm working on these claims and stuff like that. They're like active claims that I need to like get done and close like pretty quickly. And then I'll have like maybe a tick sheet as far as depending on how you're getting paid, like, hey, I closed this claim, this is a dollar amount, just like a little Excel sheet, and print it out, and you can kind of like mark on it. And then what I do is all my first notice of losses, I turn it over when I'm inspecting, and I use that for my scope notes. And so I'll have the scope notes, and then I'll have that form, so when I'm going out it just makes it so easier to work, because you have your notice of loss, you have the scope on the back, and it's easier for taking pictures. But so what I do is going back to your claims, I try to call as many as claims I can like that day. Like I try to like run through all of them, give them a call, a courtesy call. For me, my experience is usually when I work in CAT, I always get my claims like 8 o'clock at night, and so I call usually between 8 to 9:30, and when I call them, I say, hey, this is TJ Ammons with such and such company, and I say, hey, I apologize for the late call. I just received your claim today. I noticed, hey, you may have filed this claim on this day. I'm sorry that it's taken so long to get to you. Is everybody okay? That's the first thing you want to show. Concern for what has happened, because a lot of these storms, as major issues happen, tornado, hail, maybe they were driving and their car and their house is damaged. I mean, you don't know what their story is. Maybe their water is backed up in their home, and so you just never know what the story is, so you always want to show concern. You want to make sure that you kind of have like a little paper out that kind of explains, or to you that shows like, hey, these are the dates that you do have available. Generally speaking, your claims may come in a certain area, they may not. You kind of want to look at the zip codes like when you're making these calls, and try to kind of have like a pre-schedule like in mind. It's like, hey, this is going to be my first claim of the day, this is going to be my second claim of the day. And I always leave time in between my claims so I can try to settle the claim before I get to the next one, at least upload all my pictures and things of that sort to be able to be ready. And maybe your drive may be a 5-minute drive or maybe a 40-minute drive. That's happened before, and you just want to leave time for that. and just say, hey, I have you schedule them a time to say, hey, I want to get to you as soon as possible. I'm en route to location because it was a huge storm. So many people were affected. I want to make sure I get you taken care of. And then you just kind of say, hey, these are the times that I have available that I'm able to come out. Is there any way that you can meet these times, or what time will work for you? Those are some of the questions that I ask. Also ask other preliminary questions as far as like, is there any damaged things that need to be thrown away, depending on what type of claim you have. If you have a water backup claim, they may not be able to keep the musty, moldy things for you for another 3 weeks until you can get to their home, or 2 weeks, or however long. So you just want to do that. Once you start getting to the end of the list and hey, you find out like, hey, this week's booked up, just say, hey, I'm sorry, the earliest I can get to you are these dates. Which day works for you? But let me tell you what, if there's a change in my schedule, then what I will do, is it okay if I can give you a call if I can like move up our appointment on a short notice, just in case I have a time slot that's available. That's just something to do. So you want to make sure though that you make your first contact. That's the most important thing. You make your first contact. You put the note in the file. As far as your discussion, what you talked about. Like if you don't have computer access while you're making these calls, just kind of like write down, jot some general notes of like what you discussed on the call with the person on a notepad, just to make sure that you can input all that data that night. So you input those calls. Usually what I do, I have my computer, I talk to them, I type in it right there, boom, it's done. Then I go to the next person. That way I have all my first contacts done, like everybody is scheduled. So when my manager's reviewing my files, they say, hey, he's contacted everybody. There's an appointment scheduled time, or even if it's tentative, he has it in there at that point. And then also, just when you're talking to the insurers for the first time, just say, hey, I'm going to be new to your area. If you choose to give out that information, you don't have to always say, hey, you're coming to the area. But, I do sometimes. I just try to be like very respectful and just saying, hey, I'm new to the area. If I'm late a couple minutes, I apologize. I don't plan to be, but just me becoming more familiar with the area, it may take a little time to, get to your home. So I just want to, if you can make time for that. But my goal is to be there, on time and early if possible. Just kind of communicate those things. And the other thing you want to communicate, which is the most important thing, is that, and it's depending on, your situation, your contract that you have. Like the contracts that I work, I have $10,000 or $20,000 authority when I go out. So when I'm stepping up and writing my estimate, I know I can pay them that day. If I finish their claim, I can write them a check on the spot, And so if you have that type of authority, just say, hey, when I come out, I'm going to, based upon your policy provisions and coverage, I'm going to pay the maximum amount that I can possibly. I just want to make sure that we take care of you the best way we can, because, hey, you pay your premiums every month, and we want to make sure that we deliver, not only great customer service, but great service when it comes to the estimate and finding damage. If we do miss damage, we do have a process in place called the supplement process that kind of helps alleviate that stress, where you can kind of call in our company and say, hey, these are some things I noticed that may have been missed. We didn't notice it during the inspection, but these are some things that, that have come to my attention. Because sometimes later on they get a contractor that comes out and they say, oh, they missed this and that, and then there's this big issue and stuff like that. So you just kind of want to set the expectation for the customer up front. The other thing you don't know is if, by the time you're making your first contact, if they have a contractor, because sometimes the contractor's saying, hey, your insurance company is going to try to, lowball you and not pay for this and pay for that. So you just want to set the expectation that, hey, we're in this together with the insured. I'm on your side. And that is just totally key, because it helps you to take control of the claim. And also that gives you, makes you look like an expert, and it allows a person to give you respect, because they know that, hey, this person, he's sharp. He was very, he talked about all the things that were necessary to me. And then just, you can talk about coverage a little bit, but never commit to any coverage decision before you inspect the house, and make sure that you communicate that on the calls. So the big thing is, you get your deployment, make those calls as soon as possible, have you a schedule out. So when you talk to them, you can fill them in, put them in the schedule. And then that way, and then the first notice of loss sheet, print all those out for each claim, and then use that for your scope notes, and then, hole punch and put them in your folder, and then in a specific section, so you can kind of, you move them through the process. And because when I go out, what I do is I take a picture of the house when I first get up there. I take a picture then of the first notice of loss, so this address goes to this house. And then after that, or actually I do it the other way. Sorry, first notice of loss, then a picture of the house. And then, you know, I do all the pictures on the inside and stuff like that. I take pictures of what's damaged and what's not damaged. That's really key. It'll help you out on the supplement side big time. If you've been a reviewer like me, you definitely, you know, you just want to give the adjuster a high five when he takes pictures of things that are not damaged, because that lets them know that, hey, you're not the average adjuster. And then at the end, I take a picture of my scope notes, you know, and then so when I'm going through looking, like if you don't have a chance and you have like 5 houses and stuff like that that you're going back looking through, you're like, which pictures go with which? I just know because my scope note is going to be the last picture, and then the first notes of loss is going to be the first picture. So that way I'm always, you know, safe as far as like knowing which pictures go with which files. It makes it easier to kind of go in and download them and pop them into that file, because I know which photos belong to, you know, which claim. And so that's kind of like the process that I kind of go through, you know, sometimes honestly the first, you know, night I just try to find a place that's central. And then the end of my first day, like going out, I try to, you know, look for more hotels, because sometimes you might, you know, reserve a hotel and you realize like, hey, this is not the best place. And if you already try to negotiate a long-term deal with this hotel, and you have to, you know, I just don't even work with that. I take my first night, and then the first day after my claims, I go ahead and start looking for another hotel. If I feel like the area I'm at is not as central as I thought initially, or there may be a better price place, or, you know, just whatever, I just take that time during the first night to go ahead and, you know, make those reservations, and then negotiate with the hotel. Like, hey, I'm an insurance adjuster that usually familiar with people that stay in places for a long time, and I've been in places where I've negotiated, you know, I got the best room in a hotel for $50, a large hotel room. Just by doing research. And you know, I was in a hotel the night before, I was paying like 80 or 90 bucks, and it was like in a sketchy area, and the room was not as nice. So that's, you know, one thing that saves you a lot of money, you know, is, you know, the figuring out how to negotiate on your hotel rooms, getting, you know, rewards points, different things like that. But yeah, so overall, you know, the keys as far as when you first get deployed, you want to make sure you have all your tools of the trade, pack everything up. You know, if you happen to not have a truck, you may want to get a telescoping ladder and stuff like that, so you can fit it in your trunk with, you know, the remainder of the items that you do have. I just usually bring a bunch of paper, but, you know, for me, it's key is the tool belt, the folder, you know, just all your basic equipment. And then as far as your deployment, you know, setting, you know, the good expectations for your insurers, but also really important is, you know, making sure that you call them the first day. As soon as you get those claims, call them, schedule them, and then that usually brings the stress level down as far as for the insurer, because like I have an inspection date, I have an appointment, you know, then my insurance company has not forgotten about me. And then just, you know, be kind. And then the day before the claim, your inspection, just follow with me, hey, I just want to touch base with you, is there anything else I need to know, has anything changed? I just see that, you know, we have this appointment for tomorrow, I just want to confirm that if that's still good for you. Because sometimes things change, or they forget about the appointment, and you're sitting at a house, and you've wasted 3 hours or 2 hours or whatever. You could have been at another location writing up another claim, you know. So things to consider that help you out, you know, when you first get deployed, your first deployment. Just a couple tips to kind of get you going and make you successful, save you some time, may make you some additional money. All right, well, thanks again for tuning in. This is Dr. TJ Ammons. I'm the owner of Champion Adjusters. This information, a lot of other useful information, is in my book, How to Get Started, Get Work, and Make Money as an Insurance Adjuster, which is on my website, Champion Adjusters. Definitely subscribe to this video. Like me on Facebook at facebook.com/Champion Adjusters. Just a wealth of information. But I love helping adjusters. I know it's difficult getting started out, but having these videos, it's just really great helping people out. And I just decided to make it just to help my fellow brother adjuster. All right, well, God bless. Happy storm season. Wish you much success.